Welcome. This is the Inner Enlightenment Show, and I'm your host, Laurie Schoenfeld. We are in for a treat today. I have Renee Reisch joining with me, and we're going to be talking about passion and unleashing your greatness. She has quite the story and journey tying to this topic, which I'm really excited to dive into with her today. Welcome, Renee. So glad to have you here with us.
Laurie, thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful to you and to be on this platform with you. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. We've been talking about this for a little bit, so it's fun to see each other and be doing this show together now since we've been waiting on it. So
we have been talking about this for a while. So it's like building up, and now here we are. Today is the day. So again, much gratitude and love for you, to you for having me on.
Absolutely. And welcome to all of you that are joining us now and also will join us later. Thank you for being here. We're so excited to have you here as well. I want to just jump in and have Renee talk to us about what she's doing in the world right now and how she's sharing her voice during this time.
Thank you, Laurie. Well, really, it's about the journey that I've been on, and we're all on one. We're all on one. It's what we do with it and what we recognize that it is part of our journey. And mine really started in 2013 is when I, began on this path of it. And it was when I lost my voice to an illness, which is very reminiscent of today because I was not allowed to be with the public unless I wore a mask. I'm like, now it's like a deja vu in a different way. All these years later, that was 2013. And doctors didn't know if I would ever be able to speak again. It was called viral pharyngitis. And my vocal cords were riddled with sores. So I couldn't swallow, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. What could I do? Well, it was just to be quiet. And I was really not a spiritual gal at all at the time. So I really didn't know what was going on. I was working in corporate America. I was in retail. It was a Christmas holiday season. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and going, and do. And I wasn't in the being mode. And this really brought my life to a screeching halt because I couldn't be on the go so much anymore, like at all. And I had to just sit and be. And because everything was so painful, and again, without food or water or anything, it was very difficult to survive. And if it wasn't for the love of my best friend, who's one of my angels with my father right now in heaven, I wouldn't have survived. First and foremost, it was God. By the grace of God, I was able to come through this. And it was my best friend being the vessel to help me come through this. Because, when you can't care for yourself and you can't be around anybody to care for you, then what do you do? Nothing, like literally, because it was too painful to eat or drink. And I literally, I ended up writing a book. And one of the chapters is sunrise, sunset, because that's all I did was I look out my window and watch the sunrise and sunset because I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to be in my own skin because the pain was so intense. It was like swallowing razor blades 24/7. And really, who wants to do that? So I just was, I cried a lot because the pain was so, it was like, it was very, very painful. So the thing is, that lasted about 3.5 months, close to 4 months.
Wow.
And, I had a lot of blood work done because the doctors were trying to figure out what is wrong with her and how can we fix her? Yeah. And there was nothing to fix for them to fix. It was for me to step out of life and get quiet and stop running and stop doing and start being. And I didn't know how to be. But when you're brought to a screeching halt and you have no option, there is no choice but to just sit and be, then you just do that, and again, I wasn't spiritual at the time, so I didn't understand that part of my journey. Hindsight, which is always 2020, even without glasses, would be 2020. You realize then, or later on, that there was a reason, and the reason has brought me to my passion and my purpose and my mission is to help others find their voice in life. It doesn't have to necessarily be taken away from you, because mine was actually taken away for me. And I think in most cases, things are taken for us. We don't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
But it's taken for us to teach us lessons in life that we're not learning until we get smacked upside the head. Oh, okay, I hear you now. And it was listening. Speaking about hearing now, it's about listening to what's happening and to be able to use that pain and turn it into my purpose to serve others.
I absolutely love that. So I want to kind of talk about the statement where you had mentioned just being. And so I was diagnosed 2 years ago. I had really bad mono. So it's different from what you did, but it was so bad that I lost my voice. And I had lost my voice for 3 weeks. I was really, really feeling sick and ill. And so that statement of just being and not needing to take the time to really voice things, but allowing yourself to feel, to nurture, to be in the space of listening. The way you said that, like, I very much resonated with that because that was my journey as I was walking through my mono, trying to teach myself how to nurture my body, how to listen, how not need to speak. Because a lot of times when I would speak, I didn't need to because I was missing out on actually listening to people. I was talking so much that I wasn't listening or paying attention. And so I very much resonated with you stating just being in the moment and listening.
Thank you, Lori. It's very interesting that you say that because I wrote in the book, it's, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And I too was speaking a lot. And as much as I felt I was listening, I wasn't listening to the right messages that I needed to hear. I was letting them go right over it because my best friend, people that I'm close with, were saying, slow down, slow down. I didn't listen to my best friend. And your best friend knows you better than you know yourself because she saw me. She saw me running through life. She saw me not slowing down. She saw me burning the candles at both ends. And I didn't listen.
Yeah.
And then the higher power said, okay, you don't listen to your best friend. You're going to listen to me. And you're not going to have a choice in the matter. And this is going to be extremely painful for quite a while. But I'm going to bring you through it. And you're going to do something with it. And because he knew, and he gave me this voice back, he knew I wouldn't sit still with it and go, oh, thank God I got better. I did say that. I totally said that. But what am I going to do with it?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, say that one more time. Yeah, say that one more time for the viewers because that was very powerful.
Not just getting through it, but what are you going to do with it? Because so often when we come through something in our life, something painful, you kind of like, it's under the rug. Yeah. You don't really want to talk about it because you're vulnerable and, it's uncomfortable. And the thing is, when we bring that to light and you do something with it, you find so many others that may be suffering or may have suffered through something by themselves. You said mono is single, it's one. Mm-hmm. You went through it by yourself. You may have had family or people around you that loved on you and gave you support, but you physically went through it by yourself. Nobody can physically go through anything with you because you're owning what you have. Yes, people prayed for me. They felt sorry for me. They couldn't see me. Mm-hmm. We weren't doing a Zoom thing at the time. It was 2013. I was literally locked away in my apartment by myself with no one. And thank God, my best friend, as I said, she's my angel in heaven, with one of my angels, was there. I would look out the window. Literally, I would see her driving up the driveway, coming up the stairs with make a kosher chicken for me. And she would bring me apple sauce or Jello, things she thought I could swallow. Mm-hmm. Quite frankly, it was very painful to swallow my own saliva because the pain was so intense. But she knew I wasn't caring for me because I couldn't. I was too weak. And she knew that. So she would come up with her mask on and drop it off and bring me coloring books and things to try to get my mind off of me. She just, you know, an angel on earth, an earth angel that I was so blessed to have in my life. And now an angel in heaven watching over me with my dad and my others who have passed up there. So I miss her greatly. I miss my dad greatly, and I know they're with me, and I feel their presence quite often. So you know, that's part of our journey is learning lessons, and it may not always be from ourselves, but from others who were here in our lives to speak to us in different ways and share things with us that we need to learn and lessons. And I'm grateful that she was one of my teachers. You know, it's listening to those other voices, not just our own, and not just running through our life. You know, and COVID, you know, as hard as it is, there's a lesson that we're learning because people are coming together.
Yeah.
People are able to come back. You know, you're hearing about they're spending more time with their children, with their husbands, with themselves. They're grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking at what matters most in their life. And they're focusing and pivoting to those things. They're pivoting to what they didn't know they needed to pivot to when they're not going out so much or as much at all. They're spending time where it needs to be spent and focusing their energy where it needs to be focused on. And as Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield say, you know, where focus goes, energy flows.
Yes.
And it most certainly does. When you put your energy onto yourself, you can pour from a full cup because you certainly can't pour from an empty cup. Because that would be, you can't give. You can't give, you can't serve. When your cup is full, you can share it with others. You can impact and impart words of wisdom on others.
Oh, I just got chills with what you were saying. I felt that with the COVID thing, it's almost like coming back home and a sense of grounding, of coming back inward and coming back home to building your foundation of what that looks like specifically for you. And I want to tie that into how you came back home when you went through your journey of losing your voice, taking that time to really listen and be in presence with yourself, and how you came back home to now turn it to what you're sharing as your purpose right now.
And that's a great question. I think, you know, in life, coming home really means coming home to oneself.
Yes.
And when you come home to yourself, you realize, again, like I, you know, said, it's what matters most. And you matter most. You can't serve anybody, your family, your children. You can't help anybody when you're not in the best mental, physical, emotional state possible. You cannot. So you serve from a full cup. You come home to yourself. You take care of yourself. It's not selfish. That's selfless. Because then you can help other people, because when you've walked a journey and you've walked a path personally, that's when you can help others the best and the most. It doesn't matter what degree you have. The degree of life is the highest degree you can ever get. Because when you've been there and you've done that and achieved that, you can empower others and impact others in the greatest and most powerful way imaginable.
I love where you said it's not selfish, it's selfless. Because we do have this belief in society still of when you're taking care of yourself, that it's selfish. And we've heard that dialogue before, right? But there's no way for you to possibly be able to support anyone else if you're putting yourself very last on the list and going, trying to do all the things. And then that's when your body gets to a point and your heart of giving you that break moment of, okay, listen, you're not caring for yourself at all, like you mentioned before. You have it backwards.
Absolutely correct. And it's interesting. I mentioned the book a couple of times. I came from retail. I came from corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
I never in a million years, I didn't even have a bucket list in 2013. I didn't even know what a bucket list was in 2013. So writing a book was not on it because it didn't exist. Didn't exist. I now can proudly say it's a #1 best-selling book. And it's called Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains, and Unleash Your Greatness. This is not a Photoshop picture, by the way. This is Newport Beach, California. And I was there, and I actually ended up walking up to a stranger and asking him to take my picture. I had that dress on a couple of days before. I knew what I wanted to wear. I knew what beach I was going to because that's the beach my best friend and I went to quite a bit. And there's a picture of her I have by my desk with her hands in the air. And I knew I wanted my hands up to the heavens. Looking up, because really, it's unlocking your chains, unleashing your greatness. I strongly believe it's my very own chains that needed to be unlocked because I was bound up in them.
Mm-hmm.
And unleashing my own greatness is unleashing my voice to serve others. And, coming home, that's part of that. That's a huge part of it because you're able to do that when you come home to yourself. And in the book, it's a workbook within a book. I have, it's very short. It's a short read. For anybody that doesn't like reading, and even if you do, you'll read through it probably quickly. And if you don't, it's a short book. But what I want to say about this is that I have takeaway sections after each chapter. The chapters are really short, but they're the takeaway because I post questions to my readers. Where is it? There we are on this slide. There we go. And it's to answer the questions based on the chapter you read, because it's not just about the illness that I went through. I just introduced that in the first chapter to introduce who I am to people. But every subsequent chapter is a story within the book. And then the questions relate to you in your own life and your own journey, because I didn't want a book about another author and yay me and here's my story. That's great that I did that, but how does it serve you? And that's what I wanted this book to do, is to be in service to others, because we all have a story, we all have a journey, and I wanted to be able to help others and hold their hand through their journey, as my best friend was able to help me and hold mine in my journey.
I love that, because life really is everyone's own personal journey. We're all learning something very differently from each one of us, but it's very specific and catered to what we need to learn throughout life. So I love how you set that up of telling a story, but also opening up that space of how does this apply to you and your journey and your beautiful story, and where are you currently in your life journey?
Thank you, Lori. And I did that because I wanted to open the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
The way to share my voice in this book is to write it and to impart those words of wisdom and to share it and to open up a dialogue at the end of each chapter for you to share yours and to open it up, because I say this quite often, but I believe in the power of the pen. Mm-hmm. And what comes up will come out. So it's like when you journaling, it's like the pen takes over. I start writing, I journal, I encourage journaling. I have a gratitude journal, because what can we be thankful for? Mm-hmm. There's so many things to complain about. There's plenty. Mm-hmm. The list is probably endless. But I'm going to tell you something. Your gratitude list, I have a feeling that's endless too, because you have a lot more to be grateful for than you realize. And you don't have to think too hard about it. Do you have a pillow to sleep on? Do you have a place to put your head? Has somebody opened up their home to you, even to share their home with you, so you have a place to sleep? Mm-hmm. Is there somebody in your life that is opening themselves up to you to share their space with you, so you can have food and shelter? And do you have a shirt on your back? The little things that are big things, that we take for granted. Can you brush your teeth? Do you have a place to go to the bathroom? I mean, the little things are like, oh, really? Really? These are things you can be grateful for. Do you have a friend in your life? Do you have a family member? Do you have somebody that you can turn to in your time of need, that you can be vulnerable with, that won't judge you? And if not, reach out, because I'll tell you, I'll be that person for you. It's a no judgment-free zone. I'm going to tell you that for sure. And Lori knows that. It is a judgment-free zone.
Always.
Because, yeah, it always is. Because the last thing you need to do when you're vulnerable is to feel like you're being judged by somebody. It's like, you want to feel that you can be, without someone saying, you really did that? Or how could you do that? It's like, you're not judging. Because we've all done stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being vulnerable and authentic when you share your story that the healing begins. It's when the healing begins. And that's the reason I'm here, to let you know you're not alone, and to let you know you can share your story and your journey and your pain. Because I know the pain-filled moments, or the painful moments, is exactly what opens the door to get to the other side. That pain and pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
you go through the pain to get to the grateful point, because you can share it. When you share it, you're releasing it. You're not holding on to it anymore. When you hold on to it, the disease is dis-ease in the body. You're in an unrest state.
Mm-hmm.
Your body is fighting something. And when you can release it, and some of it, or probably a large part of it, is finding your voice and releasing that pain. People say when they vent, they feel so much better.
Yeah.
Why? Because you've been in a state of dis-ease or distress in some way. And you release, you go, oh, when you work out, you release it. People say, I'm going for a run, I'm going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
You're releasing that tension, you're releasing that anxiety or the angst that is being held up in your body. And then you come back, you're like, oh, I feel so much better. I love to work out, I love to exercise, I've been doing this for years, because it's a mind, body, soul, it's spirit. It helps in every situation, emotionally, physically, mentally, every way. And it's good for your health. So there's benefits all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
But it really does help. And even going for a walk, I love to be out in nature. And so many times, I've got music on my phone, like we all do. You've got your playlist or whatever you listen to. And I do have that, and I do listen to it. But quite frankly, most times, I listen to the sound of nature, the sound of silence.
Mm-hmm.
Although that is a song. But it is just listening to nature and looking around me, and like freeing my mind of, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to go. The other day, actually, I was on a walk, and I do walks and runs, and I said, I should really talk to this person while I'm walking, maybe kill two birds with one stone. I said, no, I will make time for that when I get back. This is my time. And again, not being selfish, it's selfless, because I was more filled, my cup was more filled when I came back. Instead of multitasking so much and doing too much at once, I can do this, I could do this, I could do. That's what got me in that situation. And I wrote about one of my charts, I was like a hamster on a hamster wheel, go, 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 go. But the thing, a hamster wheel, you can't get off it. You're just running again in circles. That's how I ended up so ill, where I was taken out, where I couldn't eat, drink, or do anything. But again, it was to go out of life, to step back in a stronger way than I ever could have before. Because at the rate I was at, the hamster was never stopping.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even looking for a way out to jump off. I wrote in the book that I looked forward to my days off from work, not to say, oh, I have a day off. I scheduled in my mind and on paper what I would accomplish to do for work. I could do more schedules for my team. Maybe I could get 8 more schedules done. That would be 8 days. I could do that. I looked for how long that would take me on each of my days off to make myself be further ahead at work. I didn't look for a day off to take a day off. I looked for a day off to do more work. That's not smart. That's not wise. If you came to me for coaching now, I would say, please don't. Now I can be that transformational coach because I've lived it. I've done that. So now I am a transformational and business coach. And I help, my main niche is female entrepreneurs and business owners because I believe we are our own avatars.
Yes.
It's so speaking from experience, you can serve others in a greater way. Doesn't mean we went through the exact same thing, but it means we're very relatable. And I can understand from where you are or where you've been and where you want to go. Because I came from corporate America, 25 years with one company. I would say over 30, 35 years in corporate total, but 25 with one company. And then the illness that I went through is the greatness I am at right now to be able to serve others. And that was 2013. Now we're in 2020. That vision, that clear vision that we're able to see in a way that we wouldn't have been able to share before.
You gave so many beautiful tips and exercises right there. And I just want to add on a few or go on a few that you just said, because there was a lot of beautiful things you just mentioned of releasing emotions. There were so many different tips that you just gave on the importance on feeling your emotions, but also finding healthy ways to release them, which is so, so important. You also talked about some beautiful grounding tips with music and nature and getting that sensory time to just be still and to just be present within your sensory details. Another one that I think is so hard to gain awareness, but that you did when you had just mentioned where you were on your walk and you were thinking about, I'm just going to text a friend and try to multitask. And you gained that awareness in that moment of stop. That's such a huge one of first gaining that awareness of you knowing yourself and knowing that that is not going to be healing for you, but also then acting on it. And so thank you so much for sharing. There was so much that you just gave our audience of different ways to ground and express and heal. That's so important and very needed.
Thank you so much. It's true. And the fact that I did that, I'm human. I am not speaking from a greater than thou, and I know best. And this is we evolve every day. I am no better than the next person, and I will never profess to be. Yeah. We've just all had different experiences in life, which allow us and afford us the opportunity and the capability to share it with somebody who needs it. That's what this is. And to be able to do that and to recognize that when we still fall back on an old habits die hard, as one of the chapters I wrote, old habits, because the patterns that we do are the patterns, the comfort zones that we're used to. But that definition of insanity that we hear, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. The definition of insanity. If I keep doing this and this keeps happening and I don't like it, then why am I still doing it?
Right.
We fall back on it because it's a comfort zone that's not exactly comfortable, but it's taking a step back and go, okay, this is nuts. Why am I doing this? Step away. You sometimes have to be your own observer. And I do that with myself. I'm like, that was not the smartest move. Why did you do that? And don't berate yourself and don't beat yourself up. Yes, I'm raising my finger. Don't do that because it's okay. Give yourself permission. It's okay because you're human. We make mistakes. We have errors. We do things that we may not be proud of. But beating yourself up, don't do that. Instead, what I'm going to suggest is be the observer. If you need to apologize to someone or yourself first, what is it? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Say it to yourself first. What are you sorry for? What did you do to someone that you're upset about? Forgive yourself for doing it. Love yourself for recognizing it. And then go to that person or those people or that group and be vulnerable and be authentic and apologize and let them know.
That was so very powerful, of taking the time to validate your own emotions, checking in and being your own self's best friend. As we're all human, we're all going to make those errors and mistakes, but showing up in compassion for yourself, and then stepping in and taking responsibility of, this is what I chose to do. It's okay. How am I going to do it differently next time? And showing up where there needs to be I'm sorry, and I'm going to try better next time. That was so powerful. Thank you so much, Renee. This has been so beautiful. I really would love to chat with you for a whole nother hour. I did want to ask, what were some of the things that were most helpful for you in finding your own voice? You talked a little bit about putting pen to paper and gratitude. I would love for you to dive into what that looks like specifically for your journey of finding your voice.
So it is gratitude. That was, my best friend, she got me a journal. She bought me a journal. She said, start writing. Get it out.
Yes.
And even if you have a separate, like if you're, upset journal, like get it out. But your gratitude journal, you're upset, whatever it is that you need to get out your pain points. What are they? Why are you upset? Why are you so angry? Because usually when we inflict pain on somebody else, it's your own pain that you're not wanting to face.
Mm-hmm.
When you say something nasty to someone or you spurt out an angry expletive, it's because you're so angry about something in your own life. And it makes you somehow feel better to inflict it on someone because you don't have to own it. But I'm going to tell you, when you own it and you look back and you can say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and apologize to that person that you inflicted that pain upon, you're going to start healing much quicker. So writing things out, because that pain that you may not know exists, may be buried in the back. We have that RAS system, that reticular activating system in the back of our brains. You can activate and you can hone in on it, on the things that you need to hone in on, and bring it to life and help yourself. And if you are not in a position to help yourself, please reach out to me. I offer 30-minute complimentary consultations to help people in finding their voice, in getting rid of those pain points and addressing them. Because when you address them, you can transform. That's why I say transformational coach. I had a client who asked me to help her in her business. And I said, I'm happy to help you in your business. I come from corporate. I ran very successful teams and did, very successful things for the store. I can do that. But before I do that, I said, I'd like to dive into you. And in diving into her, I found some pain points that we had to address. And then the business could thrive, and it started to thrive. Because when it's like putting a Band-Aid on something and saying, let's just put the Band-Aid on and that'll make it go away. But there's really something underneath the Band-Aid that we need to address. And if we address it and we treat that, then you actually don't even need the Band-Aid. Yeah. Because it's gone. You healed it. Yeah. So, we all have those things in our life that need healing that we may have shoved under the rug I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. But let me tell you something else. That thing is going to keep showing and rearing its ugly head in some way in your life. It's going to keep coming up until you address it. Those things, they do. They show up in different parts of your business and different parts of your relationships. It will keep happening until you address it.
Yes. Writing out the projection, for sure, of not writing out how you're feeling. It easily is projected in ways that you may not see at the time, but definitely will affect different parts of your life and relationships, for sure.
That is part of finding your voice. You asked, so it's the journaling. That was a big piece of it, Lori. That's a big piece. And then going through it, when we come through it and to it, we can work through those things in our life, those areas of opportunity. I'm not going to call them obstacles. I believe in turning the obstacles into opportunities, because I believe every obstacle is, in fact, an opportunity for us to rise greater to those occasions that we're called upon to rise to.
I love this so much, Renee. We're going to go to the inner child questions. So here's our little bell.
Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. First question: if you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
Well, I know this is an animal. It's not really an animal. It's nature, but I'm in nature a lot. The animal is the dog. I'm going to address two of them. A dog, because I had one. I had a beautiful, beautiful collie growing up, and it was a Lassie. I'm going to go a step further. She was, I believe, prettier than Lassie. Sorry, Lassie, but not so much. I really beautiful, beautiful dog. Her name was Cinnamon, and my dad had named her because of her coat color. And she was just like this beautiful portrait. She had like outlined in black. Her ears were outlined in black and colored in brown. And she had brown and white and just beautiful, really gorgeous, like a portrait. And why do I pick the dog? Because of her, and because it was the most unconditional love that I've ever had. I mean, there's literally, talk about a judgment-free zone. I didn't care what I looked like. I could wake up with bedhead. I could, whatever it is. She didn't care, because her love was so unconditional. And she was just always there to love on me and to be there. And it's just great. I just love that. And I think dogs really are man and woman's best friend. And that's the reason why I believe that. So that's why I choose a dog. And also a dog, I think, teaches you, because when I was a young kid, and learning patience and learning responsibility. When you're pulling, come on. It's like, okay, maybe she's got to go to the bathroom. Maybe she's not ready to go for the walk. Maybe she's got to sniff a little longer. Be patient. Not about you. It's about her. And life isn't always about us. It's about maybe somebody else who needs us to just listen and not talk. So there's a lesson there. So for that reason, and how to, giving love and receiving love and sharing that's unconditional from her. And again, I was not so, wise at that point. I was a young kid, but they say, what would you tell your younger self? These are things that you learn, but you don't forget in your journey in life. And this was, 1980 that she passed, 81. So, 86 she passed. So that's a long time ago. And we're in 2020. So I certainly will never forget her. And the other thing is a butterfly, being out in nature. And I love butterflies. I've always loved butterflies. I think they're so beautiful, and they're very free, and they morph. They start out in a caterpillar form, and they transform. I am a transformational and business coach. It's transforming in our life is what we evolve to our greater self, our highest version of ourself. And in seeing a butterfly, It's about transformation. And I think that is something that I really believe is the most beautiful thing to witness, that this literally, this creature took on another form, from crawling to flying and being free in such a beautiful way and spreading its wings, which we do in life. And we can spread our wings and help others out as we spread our own. So that's why I say butterfly. And a hummingbird, it takes the nectar and it gives, from the different trees and the plants. And it helps them blossom and bloom, and it flits and flies around. But I've also had hummingbirds literally stop in front of me, like flapping their wings in my face with no trees and no bushes in front of me. And I know those are messages and signs and symbols, and that is, I just love hummingbirds. I love what they do, and I love watching them. So that's my answer to that little question. I went like this way. I spread my wings on that one.
I love it though, because I got so excited for two reasons. Is I had a miniature collie when I was younger named Snicker. And so you were talking about a collie, and I like see my Snicker, because she passed away about 10, 11 years ago, in my head. But she was my best friend. And like when I had back surgery and I couldn't move and I had to learn how to walk, my dog would like sit and put her cute little chin right on my shoulder and would just lay there with me. And it was such an unconditional love and support that just made me feel in that moment I was not alone and I was loved and like I was okay and I could get through this. But so yeah, when you were talking about your collie, I was like,
wow. Obviously we didn't know this. We were not aware of this. Wow. That is incredible. I'm telling you, they do. And dogs, they have that sixth sense. They do that inner know, that intuitive. They are very intuitive.
yes.
They know us. They're like, okay, she needs me. Needed her. And it showed you that unconditional love. And yes, that you were not alone.
Yeah.
And there's no rushing here or going there. It's like, just be, Lloyd, just be. And I've got you. I got your back. I got your shoulder. I'm giving you the love. Isn't that, wow. We're aligned anyway. This is just another thing to put on our list of how much we are and what more things we share. So how wonderful is that?
Yes. And I loved your butterfly, your hummingbird, because we have dragonflies that have been circling me and my kids the past few weeks, like in our yard, like herds of them that are just circling while we play. And so I've just really enjoyed that moment of just the beauty of having these dragonflies. It's so magical, just being with us and surrounding us. It's awesome.
You're not going to believe this. I too have had dragonflies surrounding me. Like a lot, so much so that I'm talking about it because it's not like one flew by.
Yeah.
Every day, they're like coming, they're right in front of my path, or in front of me, or flying right in front of me, or right in my vision. A lot that I'm speaking of it. So it's really, they're powerful too.
It's very magical and very powerful, for sure.
Wow. More things. Okay. That's great.
Next question.
Yes.
What's the oddest food combo you liked and tried, or you just tried?
So, I thought about this. I'm like, what kind of, I'm very plain Jane kind of eater. I eat pretty healthy. So I don't know. One time I took an egg white with yogurt. That was kind of an odd thing. Both protein, but I don't know. It was I think it was like a strawberry yogurt and an egg white. I'm like, that was really odd. I don't know what made me do it, but I'm like, What one was, I think it was, there were, I don't even know what made me do it. I don't know. I can't really answer the why behind that one. But I know they're both proteins, and I, like having protein in my diet, but that was an odd kind of combination, which I haven't had since then. That was long, long time ago. So I don't know why I tried that, but anyway, I didn't actually dip it. It was like together, like, I ate it like one and then the other, but still, it's an odd kind of combination.
So you didn't like it? Is that what I'm getting?
It
Is it kind of a
was
weird?
okay. It wasn't anything that was so like, like, here, go out and try it. It's the best thing since sliced bread. No, it was just an odd combo of anything to ever put together. I didn't like it one way or the other. It was just an odd thing that I haven't really done it since then, but it was once I tried it. Anyway, that was that one. I'm not going to expand that much on it because there was nothing to really talk about, but that was an odd one.
Love it. What is some advice that you would like to leave our viewers with today before we go?
I would say never give up. Those are words. It was a bracelet that I found in my best friend's drawer after she passed. And I don't wear it as much anymore, but I carry it with me all the time because I was wearing it so much. It's leather and it was getting worn out and I didn't want to wear it out. So, but I carry those words with me because it's never giving up, is never giving up on yourself first and foremost. And if you have a dream, go after that dream. Because if it's on your head and on your heart so much that you feel driven to it, there's a reason. You certainly want to be able to take care of yourself and your family. If you have a family that you need to support in a financial way, certainly do that. But don't give up on something that you really feel you're here for. And because when you give up on that, it's always going to be lingering. I wonder what would have ever happened if I did this. I wonder if I ever could have really made a go of that. But when you put your focus on something, like I said earlier, where focus goes, energy flows, you will find a way and you will find a tribe of people to support you in doing what you want to do. I don't know if anybody ever watches Shark Tank on here, but you go and watch these entrepreneurs that come with an idea and then turn it into a business because it was just an idea. You look at, Einstein, you look at Edison, you look at, Edison had an idea. You look at Walt Disney. How many times these people failed at what they wanted to do and then pursued it because they're like, no, I'm not giving up. And then Walt Disney has Disneyland, Disney World. My goodness. And Edison, we'd be sitting in the dark. I don't know if he, how many times he failed multiple times before he got the light right. And now, it's just really not giving up on what you really feel you can do in life. And so many greats have come before us because they didn't give up. And so I would encourage you to not give up on your hopes and your dreams and try to make it work in some way. Even if it starts with something on the side until you can make it your real thing, do it because you don't want to ever leave this earth knowing that you didn't do something. How many greats are lying in those graves we go to visit? How many best-selling authors are there that said, I can't do that. No one's going to ever buy that. Or I could never create that. How many of those dreams are not out there right now? Don't be that person that didn't take time and make time to do something that you really feel you can. And if you can do it, if you can find a way, then let's do it. Because somebody's waiting for you. Someone's waiting to hear your voice. Someone's waiting to hear your message or to help their pain point that you invented that solves that problem.
That was so beautiful. Where can they find you if they have any questions about what you're doing, where they can find your book? And
Thank you, Lori, for that. So it's reneereisch.com is my website. My book is also on my website, but I maybe can put links in the chat or something to my. I'm on Instagram under Reisch_Renee. The spelling of my name is on the screen. So Reisch_Renee. I'm on Facebook. It's Renee Reisch. I have a Facebook Finding Your Voice page. I have a Facebook Finding Your Voice group. So I have I'm on Twitter. So I'm everywhere in social media. I'm on LinkedIn. So I'm also part of a wonderful organization that's about to launch tomorrow called Be Connected. It's BEEKONNECTED. So it's Renee Reisch //BEEKONNECTED.com. And I would love to speak with you about that because that's a way to connect entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and small businesses together. It's like taking your match meets LinkedIn. And I will be happy to help you with that because that is an amazing, amazing platform that I will be happy to discuss with you that I am a founding member on. And as I said, my website, the book is on Amazon. It went to #1 the day we launched on February 3rd of 2020. And it's been in the bestseller status. As of yesterday, it was also a bestseller status. So it keeps going back into that category, which I'm so grateful for, which means it's imparting, help into other people's lives. So that's what I'm grateful for, because I know the more people who purchase it, the more help it's offering. And that's a way, again, to be able to share my voice with the masses in this way, in the book form. So it's available in ebook. Book, I'm going to be doing an audio as well. I know some people that have an iPad, they can translate into Audible, but until I get that piece of it up. But if you can get the book rather than the ebook, I'm going to encourage the book. It's $9.99, and the reason is because of what I showed you earlier. Because it has those takeaway sections, you can actually write answers to questions down, and when you write them down, as I said, what comes up comes out. In an ebook, you'll read what it is, and yes, there's the line page that shows you on the ebook, but you'll probably answer hypothetically. Let me see, how would I answer that question? But you're not going to physically write it, and you're not going to be able to look back on it on how you answered it. If you write it, you could say, "Oh wow, I can't believe I felt this in that a few months ago, and look how I evolved." Or how would I answer that question now? So definitely reach out to me. As I said, I offer a 30-minute complimentary consultation. I have my calendar link on my website on reneereisch.com. Book a session. It's free, so why not? And let's dive in and see what we can do to help together. I say we because it's a we thing. It's not a me or a you. It's a we. And I'll be happy to do that with you.
Thank you so much, Renee, for being with us today. It's been an absolute honor. And I will put all the links below our videos so that if you do want to find her on any of those beautiful platforms, we'll have all the links below to easily have access to her. And again, thank you so much for being here with us today, Renee. Thank you so much for all that you just shared. That was absolutely amazing. And my cup is filled today.
Oh, Lori.
For being here. And just as a reminder, as you go about your day, remember to look for all that is working for you, as there is much to be grateful for. We will see you next Monday at 12 o'clock p.m. right here on the Inner Enlightenment Show. I'm your host, Laurie Schoenfeld, and have a beautiful day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much.